And action.
Greetings. I am Elijah Malachi X Mothershed Bay, your host for the Justus Show. We're here live at the Black Wall Street, and today we're going to be talking about education and its relation to the current state of economics here in Oklahoma. Right now, we're going to be talking about an emergency situation that's happening right in our county in District 5. I'm going to be speaking with the Minister of Education for the Nation of Islam, Mrs. Marcia Muhhamed. She's going to bring some more light to this situation. Can you tell us what's happening in District 5 and what's your interest in the public schools?
Okay, I have been interested in the public schools. In fact, I started out as a PTA president, then I moved to substitution, then I moved to teacher, and then administrator in Oklahoma City Public School. What's happening today is very tragic in District 5. Our District 5 board member is Ruth Bells. She has about 15 schools. Some of these schools I want to mention because it'll ring a bell in you that your child or your grandchild may be attending these schools. Out of 15 schools, we have 14 Fs. That's the grade these schools have received. And these are the schools that are in majority of blacks in our community. And some of these schools are like Edwards, Green Pastures, Martin Luther King, Moon, Dalmont Reese, Schuyler, Spencer's Elementary, Telstar, Willowbrook, Rogers, Douglas, Northeast Middle School, and Star Spencer. And the reason they're carrying these grades of F, if you would go through to Oklahoma City Public Schools and look at the demographics, you will find out that we are rated, our children are being tested and rated at 16% for reading and 15% for math. That's tragic.
So what you're saying is only 16 out of 100 children are actually retaining what they're reading?
Yes, they know how to read. Now as to understanding, that's another question. But that is critical right now, and in this day and time, for future privileges, it's going to be impossible to be successful with those kind of scores.
So is that one of the reasons why our state is so high in prison incarceration?
Yes, we're only a pipeline to the prisons. I watched, and in 2010, I whistle blew on a principal, Dr. Robert Staples at Douglas High School, and it came out in the news in 2011, around the fall, that he had changed 3,000 grades. I watched students graduate that could not read, and I also watched students that could not comprehend or do math. I watched them go to college, and they would drop out after the first semester. Some of the students I tracked, and they would drop out after the first semester because they could not do the work. In fact, one student, when I first stood up against what was going on, one student had been Miss Black UCO, and she said that she was told after graduating from Douglas, she had the education of a 5th grade person. But her grandmother's spirit kept her struggling to become successful. So this is outrageous right now. It's outrageous.
Why do you think this is happening?
I think it's happening because we're dealing with an education that deals with white supremacy. As my teacher, Mr. Farrakhan, has said, we will have to get our school out of the white supremacy education. We're learning nothing about ourselves. Our children have nothing to be proud about. They have nothing to look forward to. In fact, they just redirected the slavery area that they teach in history, that everybody was slaves at one time. I mean, we're being taught nothing. If the children knew who they really were, if the children understood their God nature, their purpose on this earth, they would grow. They would grow, and they would be different. But right now in the school, because of the lack of knowledge of self, it's chaotic. It's chaotic.
I also saw in the news that they're recently asking for $800 million for 2 more prisons to be built right here in Oklahoma. How do you feel about that?
We're a pipeline to the prison system. If we don't control our neighborhood school, if we don't control it right now with the grades, with the reading and the math, that's all we have left. In fact, we have 6 avenues that they say about the black males, and the avenues are crime, prison, military, entertainment, sports, and death. And parents, we are encouraging sports. We're really only 1 out of 5,000 would actually make it, if at all. You understand what I'm saying? We put a lot of emphasis, a lot of time in my boy plays basketball. My boys that come on, parents. Your boys and your girls are geniuses. They can be doctors. They can be lawyers. They can be engineers. This is what I want to bring to my community of their abilities. This is why I'm fighting very hard right now to expose the education. I have called Oklahoma City Public School Superintendent to meet with me. I have not received any answer, but I did receive, and I let the state superintendent know that the schools that are failing in our black community. So I'm looking forward. They told me they would get right back to me after she comes out of a conference.
And how long has that been since you last talked to the superintendent?
Oklahoma City Public School, it's been a month in the waiting. I have been waiting a month to hear from them. As far as the state superintendent, I called her, I emailed her last week. I got a response this morning.
Okay, and earlier in the conversation you touched on the need for our own schools, and I myself have taken personal notice that they have Jewish schools, they have Indian schools, they have schools
Hispanic.
for Catholics, Hispanics.
That's right.
When and what do we need to do to start our own schools to educate our children the way they need to be properly?
One thing we're going to have to do is come together as a people. And under this administration, I believe you will this time. We are ready. We are up and ready to educate our own. You have to remember, our president-elect, Mr. Trump, he's here to make America white again. Okay? We're laughing and we say, great, no, it's white again. So where does that include us? How does that include us? One thing I want to go back and suggest, even in the Oklahoma City public schools, they have 7 leadership members. They kind of run the whole district. Not one is black. Not one of those leaders that they call leaders are black today. I mean, it's no interest for us unless we take on the interest to make the difference. Yes, we can say, we want a school, we pay taxes. We're making taxes. How do you call it, Elijah? Taxes for a miss?
Well, it's just as we were discussing earlier. We're in a situation where our education is not being up to par, and it's not being implemented correctly to actually educate our children, which is taxation without representation.
Exactly.
And we are basically in a position where we do have the power and we do have the rights to control our taxes. We just have to get in contact with the right politicians and begin the dialogue.
Now, I have to suggest earlier, I think it was in 2000, I think it was 2001, where we've done all that we can do as far as calling for people to respect us in education, and it was a situation in Moon Middle School where we did not have enough administrators. And one day, a group of us, myself, a lady, and the children, we closed the door. Then we got heard. Okay. Then they heard what we had to say. You know. So I don't know. It's like Malcolm X said, we want revolution, we want to change, but we don't want to make the sacrifices that need to be changed. These are our children. Okay. These are our children. I know what it's going to be like to go visit your son in prison. Or go to, you know, that's a sad situation. And we can avoid that if we come together and educate our own on children. In Fall of America, by